But are video games really the better social network going forward? Is it superior to traditional social media, social networking?
Maybe from a marketing point of view, Instagram and Facebook are getting users to feel more frustrated, jelly of the experience and things that other people share. And the games are like a more positive platform. It's still a social network, but you get just interaction for fun, and you're still busy. You're taking your time off your daily stuff, but it's kind of different experience. And especially from what I hear for Fortnite, the people that really are eager to play it, they feel like they are not, let's say, given some kind of negative vibe from the rest of the players that they are with. Even if they are not that competitive players or they're not the best ones, they don't get any negative comments, or they're still feeling they're doing something positive, which is not the case with Instagram. I'd say if you have a not nicely placed picture or something, you would not get the likes. You would start thinking, should I delete this? What should I do now? Why people don't respond to this? It's kind of different socializing, let's say.
That's a really interesting point. Kind of pandering to the algorithm. That's kind of what people say. You know, like, oh, I'm posting this because I know the algorithm, or potentially know the algorithm will push it this way so that I get more likes. So it's not even you're posting what you even want to post in your heart or what you want to post, but you're posting for the algorithm. That's kind of how, you know, the conversation around that, which is interesting because you go back to, let's go back to the immersive platform where it's a 3D world, it's immersive, and you're not having to pander your post to an algorithm to push it. Right. You know, that's a point you made. I think it's really interesting that you're just interacting in that immersive environment, whether browser based or whatever it is, but you're not pushing content out, especially I guess this is flowing into like the business side, but you're not pushing it out just to push it out to get the likes, get the reshares, and get the exposure. You're just interacting. And you see it seeping into business. And I don't want to get into a whole nother maybe another level of this, but like how LinkedIn has turned into a social platform. It's Facebook 2012 right now on LinkedIn. It's exactly where, like 2011, 2010, 12, it's turned into an environment of socializing versus randomly posting a company update. And it's a job board that it was 8 years ago. So I find that, again, that's another going down another route, but you know, pandering to the algorithm versus an environment where you're not doing that. You're actually just interacting with one another as an avatar or whatever that looks like. So I know a number of different points there, but just want to throw it out there.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Anonymity does a lot. Mm-hmm. I know that if I'm on Facebook and I'm reading something that seems a little controversial, a lot of times the people that are getting the realest comments, it's not their real name and it's not their real photo. It's not their real persona. And so they're able to hide behind anonymity to express their controversial feelings before they start to express those feelings as themselves. I mean, just the pressure of your family seeing it and not knowing how they're going to react to your stance leads people to want to be anonymous. I think video games do a better job of that, because not only are you able to be anonymous, but you're able to build up a physical persona with your character in game. And so there's a lot to be said about how social media has evolved to people are using the anonymity of the computer, but they're using their real image and they're using their business on things like LinkedIn, but they're still playing the same game. They're still, they're not truly expressing themselves the way that they would if they were able to hide a little bit more. And so there's a lot there. Yeah, definitely.
I do want to just mention something briefly before I turn it back over to the panel to answer. But I mentioned earlier how, I've got kind of a 10-year case study with when it comes to my wife being a pretty serious online gamer, and she's very a serious introvert, and so the people that we interact with in the real world, they really don't know her. They only know the version of her that she lets them see, and even on things like Facebook or Instagram, it's not really her real self, but it's the self that she feels comfortable with people understanding or seeing. But the people she games with, they get the real Mikkel. They get the real version of her, because it's social, it's fun, they're doing something passionate, and so those friendships are far more valuable to her than any of those friendships in the real world where people, she just doesn't feel like she can be herself, right? So I think that, Brandon, what you're saying about anonymity is a huge deal, but I think it goes a little bit further than that, because again, it's the anonymity plus doing something that you're fun, or that's fun, or that you're passionate about, allows people to really be themselves, even if it's controversial. Even if it's controversial, that's okay. It's still authentic. It's more of an authentic social networking experience than what we are seeing on current social media, or even in just a real life setting. So anyways, back to the panel. Anybody else want to build on that?
I think it's very. Oh, sorry.
Which game?
Go ahead, Michaela, and then Flora. We'll everybody will get a chance.
Okay. I think it's very interesting, this topic, because I think the main point is the difference between the community and the network, because of course social networks allow you to meet new people, but they are just people you don't know, and you have to act like you act in public, right? So when you are inside a video game of course you are talking to a community, which is very different, because you're talking to people who share the same passion, the same view of the world. So I think the difference is really into that. Games develop a community and not just a network. So they allow people to build friendships, which are very valuable, also compared to social networks like Instagram and Facebook.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michaela. Flora, go ahead. You wanted to add to that as well?
I was just wondering, which game does your wife play?
Oh, so she's, I mentioned it earlier, but she's pretty much only World of Warcraft.
Okay.
So she's a type of gamer that she really has just gone very, very deep into that one game. But also, I mean, World of Warcraft obviously has a very extensive community built around it, because it has been around for a very long time in the way that the game is designed. But yeah,
most of the other platforms we heard today, Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite, it's mainly for kids. So I was wondering, is this just a phenomenon for kids that they use games to socialize? World of Warcraft is not only for kids, so yeah, but the most popular ones you hear about today are these platforms for kids.
Well, kids adopt things quicker and they move on faster, right? When we used to talk to my daughter about Facebook, even 5, 6, 7 years ago, and she was like 7 or 8, she'd be like, "Oh, that's old news," right? And she was 7 or 8 years old. So they're always going to be quicker to adopt new stuff than even us that aren't, well, I guess I'm a lot older than her, but so I think if you really want to look at the trends of where it's going, you do have to look at what the kids are doing. Looking at what we're doing isn't going to really be the future, unfortunately.
That's very true. I had something to add to this. It's a little bit off on topic, I guess, a little bit maybe, but another thing so there's like Facebook, Twitter, like the 2D platforms, right? But live streaming has really changed what's the interaction between human beings. I feel that live aspect and what's happened with Twitch and YouTube and Mixer. I know everybody here is really familiar with that. But as a streamer, it's interesting because you mentioned things kind of age up. Like Facebook was for college kids and it aged up. Instagram was for like young photographers and then it aged up. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's interesting though that business lags even more, like the business side of things. So the reason why I kind of feel this is like having a LinkedIn live stream is really fascinating because it's a newer concept in the business. And I'm not saying it's a brand new concept, but I mean, as a mainstream adopted, live streaming has been more for typically, a younger audience. I mean, especially 2014, 2015, 16. But like, for example, just LinkedIn's only had it for about a year and it's still in beta. So all of this hasn't really even infiltrated business side yet. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And then also, again, my mind always goes to the immersive environment for business and what that looks like, because, the younger generations adopt things quick. They move off quick. It seems to me, and I don't know if anybody agrees with this, but your mega corporations, some mega corporations where they have to have 95 decision makers to do something. They move like the Titanic. They move so slow that, they're the last ones. And a lot of times that's how companies die, because they have 99 people to make a decision and 98 says no, 97 said yes, but 98 stops it. So I think it's really interesting to be quick in business and not have to go through that situation there. But to tie it all together, streaming is, I don't know, I just find that kind of a fascinating part of social. And again, the next step past streaming is going to be those kind of immersive environments.
I like that. Excellent. Anybody else want to comment on that? Again, the core theme is, are video games really a better social network than what currently exists, or what those other platforms could be with some changes?
Answer: yes, video games are better because it's interactive and more immersive, and people are already there. You have to take yourself out of an entertainment experience to use the other platforms currently, unless you're watching a stream on Twitch. So I do think that maybe the combination of, and you've seen this actually, we talk about Fortnite, so we'll use it again. The people streaming Fortnite, having conversations with their audience players. Look at Ninja, right? There's a perfect example, and everybody moving that direction. So I think it's still gaming, and it's the social aspects being embedded inside the game cross platforms that will, because that's the thing, is you can watch Ninja stream playing Fortnite on just about any device that's got an internet connection.
Absolutely. Magnus, Tim, either one of you guys want to chime in? Tim, you're muted, just so you know.
My point of view is, what we're doing is more about trying to drive a more intelligent, erudite discussion. Yeah, that's not what happens. What happens on our site is not what happens on Twitch. Yeah, we're paragraph length comments and really rich in-depth feedback the gamers want to give. But again, that isn't going to be necessarily where the entire audience is. So I think there's different unknowns, unknown unknowns where we're going to a certain extent. But what we've shown is there is an appetite to give gamers some technology that provides more intelligent discussion options for them. Yeah, rather than just comment and it's ephemeral, it disappears under the fold, or it disappears after the stream. Something that's got actual real value to them, they seemingly want, right? So I think that is, again, and that comes back to touching on the last, it was Justin before who said, talking about major brands moving slow, like glacial speed. We're talking to some of the biggest game companies in the world, and you're on your fourth meet with team 5 of 20 people, all going, we haven't got what you've got. You could create a QT on our site in 2 minutes and proof of concept it by the end of the afternoon, and they're still dithering. Yeah. So it's things seem obvious sometimes, where we're going. I think the immersive thing, obviously, we're a long way away from that in terms of Stadia not being able to perform to get into the visual aspect, the VR aspect. But I think there's different elements, different stuff. Things are going to say different audiences within gaming. Gaming has got multiple demographics. Yeah. Casual, hyper deep gamers, as you said, your wife playing Warcraft. I'm sure the discussion on our side should probably a biblical answer. Yeah. We see things like, we see some comments on our sites that are like 2 folds long. On League of Legends or Warhammer or something like that. People are that passionate. So I think they're let's come back to the horses for courses, yeah. But at the moment, it's very much Reddit, one word answers on Twitch, or obviously some in-game stuff with Fortnite, etc. Really.
Excellent, excellent. Magnus, Florian, you guys want to add anything to that?
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, looking at we talk about platforms. So we're talking about one platform that covers all games, so we will have one platform for each game, because I think people are, if I'm playing Dota, I don't care about Counter-Strike. So a lot of the crossovers, we're a few on that one. So do we find some big platform for gaming where you can all meet, or do we have to have all different ones? So we're going to have a lot of sub-genres or sub-community platforms there. So that's not, how do we find that? Because as I said, if you care about play Fortnite, you're not going to be a Dota player there. That's very few that goes there. So we'll miss that communication between each other also. So that's where we need to find something bigger. Maybe Facebook is not the way of doing that, but maybe we don't want to have another Facebook for gaming. We want to have this sub-genre or sub-platforms there.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, Magnus. I want to just comment on that. I'm wondering if the reason that we're seeing gaming as the superior social platform is because of those subgroups, right? And so that those relationships are actually of a higher quality, and they're deeper, they're more real, so they're more meaningful. Whereas, you may have 2,000 friends on Facebook, but how many of those people do you actually know well? How many of those people do you actually interact with on a regular basis? Well, let's say that, like you said, something like Dota or Counter-Strike, let's say you only have 15 or 20 people, but you interact with them all the time. I would argue that that's actually a more quality experience socially for a human being than simply just I don't know, vanity metrics, if you will, but for in a social setting, right?
But I agree with you. I mean, it's the number of friends you have. Friends on LinkedIn, 2,500, 3,500, is that better than having 100 great ones to actually talk about in esport? Because you build, a lot of people just connect on LinkedIn just to get that kind of building network and going to get the reach. But is that actually people do you know? And the same as you say, when you go into gaming, you play Fortnite, you're actually talking about Fortnite players that actually have the same interest as you have. Not just there to connect with people and get that number up there, because that's what I feel sometimes LinkedIn is about, getting that 5,000 plus whatever. But do you know even half, or have you talked to anyone, or are you just getting in there? Maybe that's another play of game compared to playing the LinkedIn game, so to say.
Yeah, and I think they both have their place, right? I mean, obviously, as a bit, if you're a business, you want a broader reach, but if we're talking about all of this for the the end user, the gamer, the real social experience, yeah, I think it's that more intimate network that makes more sense. So, real quick, Florian, did you add anything you want to add? I think you're the only person I haven't heard from the panel on this one.
Me?
Yes.
What was the question?
Am I saying your name right? If I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize.
No, I don't have something to add here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I'm gonna branch off the norm just for a second, and Kwesi, I know you're not part of the panel technically, but you said that you wanted to mention something, and I'm all right with that. We've got a little time.
Okay, so basically, you spoke about whether gaming is a better social networking platform than other platforms like Facebook. But I just wanted to bring into the fore that the basic underlying principle of every game is problem solving, right? So if we solving problems, I believe that socially people want to connect in that way in solving a social problem, or connect socially by playing video games, which is fun, interesting, and leveling up together. So if video games underlining the basic principle of every video game is solving a problem, that means that I can connect with you and play a certain game, and we solve that problem together. It's a quest together. And I find that it's very intriguing that is a very powerful social platform for everyone.